Welcome back to the lineup here on Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection. Eli Hershkovich and Tom Bostwick in the studios. As always, Tom, let's talk about the free agency and the New York Jets. Jets, Jets. And they just got a little bit better at the wide receiver position, Eric Decker.
Yeah, I think we talked a couple weeks back if it was smart for Decker to go elsewhere if the Broncos didn't give him enough money. Well, it turns out the Broncos never gave him an offer, which I think is interesting. And so he took the money in New York Jets. Interesting situation to go into. You go into the most high-powered offense of all time to one of the most boring and really, really bad last year. So
Chris Ivory is your running back. Just a boring. He can get it done. Don't question that. But just a slow running back. He'll grind it out. He'll get 30 carries. He'll get 90 yards.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Maybe a touchdown from 2 yards out. But it'll be interesting. He's getting paired up with Geno Smith, who was. There was talk for him being rookie of the year last year. Early part. Yeah, early part. He had his rookie struggles. Had some great games. Had some really, really bad games. Really turnover prone. So it'll be interesting to see if Decker can have the type of success he had with Manning. If it really was just that Decker's a tremendous player, or that Manning made him that much better.
I think Decker, and this is where we can debate on this. Can Geno Smith make Decker a good wide receiver? Can a wide receiver make a quarterback even a better quarterback? And that's the question coming in to the New York Jets locker room right now. Can Geno Smith improve this year?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely think he can improve, and I think it's a good example would look at Josh McCown. There he is matched up, or gets inserted in offense with Forte, Brandon Marshall, Martellus Bennett,
weapons around him,
Alshon Jeffrey, all those weapons around him, and I definitely think weapons can help. My only thing is
a Jeff Cumberland. Is that going to be a Martellus Bennett comparison?
Right, and is Eric Decker Brandon Marshall? So it'll be interesting. It can only help. There's no doubt about that.
It's not going to hurt the Jets.
No, definitely, or Geno Smith. So
at least he's better than a Knight or one of those guys that they had out there in New York. Was Knight a wide receiver? Maybe I'm blanking on.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Can we even think of a Jets name right now?
San Antonio Holmes, but they cut him.
Right, San Antonio Holmes. Can we name another Jets football receiver off the top of our head from last season?
Curley.
Curley. Yeah, Curley, number 11. There we go. I think that's it.
Yep, I think that's it. Yeah, that's my list.
And Cumberland on Monday Night Football might have had 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
That's about it and that was the Jets going into Atlanta when people were thinking that the Atlanta Falcons could win and could still make the playoffs. But nope, the Falcons were a dud, and so were the New York Jets. 8-8, so not a complete dud in the Meadowlands, but at least for Geno Smith, backwards pass behind the back.
It's better than the butt fumble.
It's better than Mark Sanchez. Let's rate it. Is Mark Sanchez's butt fumble better than Geno Smith's behind the back pass?
Now, when you say better, do you mean more atrocious?
I say more atrocious. Yes.
Oh yeah, the butt fumble might be the most atrocious play in football history. I mean, that thing was number 1 on SportsCenter for like months.
But just trying to toss it back to your left hand.
I don't know, man. He ran into his own offensive lineman and the ball went flying.
And especially on Thanksgiving when you know everyone's watching.
Yep.
What are you doing, Mark Sanchez?
Yeah, and Sanchez has already been in hot water, but you're right. I mean, Smith's play was just as dumb.
It was, especially that wasn't on. I think it might have been on CBS or something like that. So at least for him, it wasn't on a nationally televised game. I don't think a lot of fans are watching the Jets Titans, at least.
No.
Let's talk about the Jets and Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan's on the hot seat. Talk about a player or a coach on the hot seat right now. Geno Smith, Eric Decker, Chris Ivory, Jeff Cumberland, the Jets defense, which hasn't gotten much better this offseason. So can the Rex Ryan and the New York Jets turn it around?
No. But I don't think that's Rex Ryan's fault. They really haven't given him anything to work with. Really just nothing. He coached up a pretty good defense last year. You mentioned it. They didn't get much better. They didn't really add anything. Obviously, losing Darrelle Revis hurt. They cut Antonio Cromartie this year, so I just really don't see them getting any better. And especially, everyone in the AFC East is getting better. The Dolphins have made some great moves. The Patriots with the Revis signing, huge. They're going to be great.
Jets could have upgraded with Revis.
Yeah, right. They could have brought him back. That would have been interesting. And the Bills have made some low-key acquisitions here and there. And if they get a full season on E.J. Manuel, that could be a team that could be competitive, maybe 6-10, 7-9.
Talking about Revis here real quick, I wonder if Revis tried to spurn the Jets and tried to talk to the Jets a little bit and said, why don't the Pats up my ante? Because first I heard that the offer was, I think, 1 year, $12 million. And then all of a sudden last night, it went up to 2 years, $24 million. That's a heck of an upgrade.
Yeah, especially for a player his age and with the ACL injury and everything. So that to be able to get that second year was huge. And maybe that was it. Maybe he just brought them in to get the bidding higher, and it worked.
One thing I did see, Tom, was something on ProFootballTalk.com, and this was, as I bring my laptop up, try to squirt it here on the studio granite. As we look at the Darrelle Revis comparisons to the other cornerbacks, and this is to Richard Sherman. This definitely pertains to you and your Seattle Seahawks.
I saw this.
So what do you think about this? Is Darrelle Revis the best cornerback in football after Pro Football Talk rated him, or Pro Football Focus rated him so? And as we look at it right now, I have it up. The overall is, I don't know how they get these stats.
Okay, yeah, I was going to point out, I don't really know what the stats are that they're talking about, because when I look at the stats that I know, it's Sherman, but these other stats that they're bringing out, I don't really know what the overall means.
I think so penalty is 4.4. I'm guessing that must be penalty.
Yeah, and Sherman does get penalized. He's a physical corner, no doubt about it.
So with Darrelle Revis, if we look at the stats right now, folks, 4.4 for Revis, 3.3 for Sherman. So Revis is penalized more than Richard Sherman is. On the run, Revis plays run defense a lot better than Richard Sherman, according to Pro Football Focus. A 2.6 points for Revis, 0.9 points for Richard Sherman. Again, we don't know where these points are coming from, but these are the points for Pro Football Focus. I'm not using this against you, Tom. And the points for the coverage defense, 10.8 points for Revis and 12.2 points for Richard Sherman. So, are these points legitimate?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find it on your Twitter feed here to pull it up.
I could pass you the laptop, maybe a quick little toss, and the laptop might break.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm totally ignorant of advanced metrics. I know they're a big thing right now. I just don't really understand them. So I'm sure that they are valid points. And even if you want to say Revis is 1, I think it's 1A, 1B. Either way, they're both tremendous players, and really, they're still shutdown corners. And I'm glad Revis came back last year off that injury and still had a great year.
Okay, so fine. Darrelle Revis and Richard Sherman are 1A, 1B, wherever you want to put them on your list. Why the heck did Lovie Smith try to mix it up that much? Or the Buccaneers organization, if Lovie Smith comes in there, I know the contract was a lot for Darrelle Revis, but why? If he's rated that highly, I'm sure Pro Football Focus is the only one that isn't the only one that says Darrelle Revis is a good cornerback.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing too, and maybe it was because he's not Lovie's guy. Maybe Lovie hadn't talked with him, and it could have been a cap thing. They were like, they look at how old Revis was, and Lovie wanted to go in youth movement, but then they showed all that money to Michael Johnson.
Who was Werner was the cornerback they signed?
They signed Werner too?
Yes.
Okay, he's another solid guy, but I'm with you. How can you look at those stats and let him walk like that and cut him like that? At least try to get a trade for him or something. Or I guess Revis was refusing to trade, but it's definitely a head-scratching decision. Again, we don't know the behind-the-scenes, the stories.
And, of course, the cornerback that we're talking about, Alturian, did I pronounce that right?
Altron.
Mm-hmm. Just one pronunciation. Altron Werner, 57 combined tackles, not 5. 49 total tackles or solo tackles for 5 interceptions. So a solid cornerback and a much cheaper contract, I'm sure, than Revis was getting paid in these next few seasons.
Oh, absolutely. And Werner was coming from Tennessee. Yeah, and they actually had a pretty solid defense last year. They ended up being, they might have been in the top 10 or just right outside of it.
Good for fantasy football.
That's always with they your team.
No, a little bit off and on. For my fantasy football defense, I like to go off and on. Sometimes I drop in a couple weeks, especially when it's playoff time, and you have to switch it up.
I feel it. Yeah, I could never find a solid defense last year, so I'm kind of jealous that you had a couple. But no, I think that's right. You get him it's a more economical signing. It allows you to spend the money on people like Michael Johnson, get Josh McCown in there, and Lovie hopefully can turn that Bucs team around. That must have been, just like releasing Peppers or the Seahawks releasing Chris Clemens and some of these other guys. Obviously, they're not the level of Darrelle Revis right now, but it all comes down to money saving.
Bring up Peppers. I really wonder now if Lovie Smith's going to go after Peppers.
That'd be interesting. Or maybe a return to Carolina.
Maybe a return to Carolina indeed, especially after Steve Smith is gone, and we're going to talk about that next. Interesting comments from the great wide receiver. And he caught a playoff touchdown this year. I'm not sure why Carolina did this. I'm sure they're going to make a signing or a draft day move for a great wide receiver, maybe even the first round. They need wide receiver help desperately.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You need to get because Cam Newton is a tremendous player, and he really came out of his shell last year. But you need weapons around him. He still needs weapons. And the loss of Steve Smith, they must think they can go and get a good wide receiver in the first round there.
Well, Steve Smith, again, as I said in the last 10 minutes, he thinks there's going to be blood and he thinks there's going to be guts. So I'm sorry for not getting to that right now, but we're going to get to the blood and guts next with Steve Smith, a great wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers, as their play-by-play guy says. We're going to talk about what Steve Smith can do with the Baltimore Ravens. That's the potential of where he could go, or somewhere else. Where could Steve Smith go in the rest of the free agent moves that have gone by today? We're going to talk about that next here on the lineup on Radio DePaul, Chicago's College Connection.